Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to 5 reasons why the UK is better than the USA. Now, before you guys, start flaming me or anything like that, this video is made by an American who I believe now lives in the UK. So, it's going to be her giving her views, and I think it's going to be fun to just go along and see if we agree or disagree with the points of view expressed. Like, based on where I stand on the matter, I think there's, quite a few things that the US does better than the UK. Like, number one being, on average, I think you guys earn more than we do here, quite a bit more, to be honest. Like, my little brother, he works in tax, and he told me, because his company is a multinational company, he said that his exact same job title with the same experience in the US earns double, which is just insane. However, I think personally, I prefer the healthcare system that we have here. It's a set amount. I think it works out to be between 7 and 9% of your annual salary is deducted from your pay packet, and for that you get everything covered. Everything. There's no extras. If you ever need a prescription medication, it's like £9. It's just, for me, a better system. So yeah, I'm eager to see what else is discussed in this video by the creator of the video. Let me know if you disagree or agree with anything I've said just now in the intro. This should be really interesting. Let's do it.
Hi everyone, it's me. So today we are going to talk about 5 ways that the UK is better than America.
All right.
Yes, I said that. We're going there. For those of you who don't know
Let's
me,
go.
my name is Elena, and I'm a Canadian who has lived in England for the last
I thought she was American. She's Canadian.
4 years. I then moved back to Canada so I could reapply for a new visa to go back to England. But right now I am in Florida in the United States.
Okay. All right. So she does have some living experience in the States. Phew. Because I know a lot of you guys are going to be saying, she's Canadian. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
So because I'm here in the US, I thought it'd be fun to do a couple videos about the US because we don't really talk about them that much. And I hope you guys like it. Now, I've actually spent a lot of my life in Florida specifically, and I've also traveled a lot of the US. So these are things that I'm not necessarily talking about because I've seen them in movies, but more so because I've spent a lot of time down here. My parents own a property in Florida, so we spend a lot of time in the US. Okay, that's my resume. I hope it is acceptable. So without further ado, let's go. For those of you who know me, who subscribe, hi, how's it going? I miss you. Thank you for being here. You might remember my beautiful gray couch back in England. I got a new couch to sit in front of for a few weeks before going back to Canada. So UK gets a gray couch, Florida gets this like cream colored couch. So anywho, that wasn't exciting. So starting off at number 1, one of the things that the UK does better than the US is pubs. And I will talk about British pubs until the day I die. I love finding a new, historical, cozy, friendly British pub. I love it. It's fabulous. And they are good. Did I say that enough? They're good. Awesome.
To be honest, British pubs, I've been to an American pub. No, I haven't. I've never been to an American pub, but from what I've seen of them, they're usually they're really large, and they don't really feel like a British pub here typically is hundreds of years old in a lot of cases, like easily 150, 200 years old. There's a lot of history to the building. It's not small, but it's kind of cozy. You can really feel the history in there. Great atmosphere. People are talking and stuff over pints. Just a great atmosphere. I've never been to a US pub before, so I can't compare it, but yeah, I love British pubs.
Awesome. Wonderful. Now, of course, the US doesn't really have British pubs for obvious reasons. There are loads of bars and restaurants and clubs and dive bars and sports bars and all sorts of things in the US, but they do not have the classic British pub that the UK does, obviously.
And to be fair, you can't really expect Even though there were a lot of British people who moved over to the States, it's kind of unfair to expect a replica of the British pub experience in America.
But I love a British pub. I know a lot of my viewers have said ever since there was a smoking ban implemented that loads of the pubs have since closed down in the UK, which I get. I mean, I appreciate the smoking ban, so you won't get any sympathy from me, but it has closed a lot of pubs. However, there are still tons in the UK, like tons.
Yeah.
And I miss them and I love them.
There's a pub on probably every street in the UK, I would say. I reckon 90% of streets in the UK have a pub. And yeah, there's never gonna be a shortage of pubs. Although a lot have been closing, especially as a result of the pandemic.
And America just doesn't have them. Number 2, one of the things that the UK does better than America is price tags. Now, I know this is dumb, but this is my YouTube channel and I can do what I want.
The sales
when you
tax
see something
thing.
in a store in the UK, the price tag
That's it.
is the price of that item. Makes sense, right? Here in America and actually in Canada as well, the price tags of things does not include tax. How annoying. So I've had a couple instances since I've been back in Canada and now back in the US where I'm buying things and I'm adding it up in my head. So I'm like, I kind of anticipate what the final price will be. So I just, I have it in my head. And I get up there and they ring it all through and then it's more than I expected because the tax is added on at the till.
Like for me, this poses an issue, especially in this cost of living crisis. Like here in the UK, I don't know about the US, there's a lot of families that are really struggling. A lot of families where both parents are working, but they still need to go to a food bank to get food. So if you've got a super tight budget, like to the pound, it would suck to get to the till. And, if like you haven't got enough to pay for the goods, that would be so embarrassing. I just feel like, I know that state taxes and stuff, it varies from state to state, but I just feel like include the tax in the price, just so that you don't have to mentally like calculate how much it's going to be. I just feel like it's so much more convenient.
And I hate it. Stop doing it, please. It's awful. Now, it's one of the things that I really miss about the UK that you don't see here in North America is having that tax on the price tag. It makes life so much simpler. So I should also probably say, I don't have a tripod here in the US. I'm at my parents' place and I've rested my camera on top of their TV like cabinet and I just hit it with my hand. So it probably doesn't even look quite the same.
To be fair, she's done a good job. Like it looks very centered to me.
Just pretend I didn't tell you this, but anywho, number 3 in which the how was I saying that? The third thing that the UK does better than America is history. I know this seems dumb. I know all of these probably seem dumb, but these are the things that I notice like on a day-to-day sort of thing. And plus, it's my own opinion. So nobody's asked for this. So number 3 is history. I absolutely love the history in the UK. You see it everywhere. And as someone who's come from southern Ontario, where everything is a little bit sterile in that way, it is so noticeable going to the UK. But
this again it's not really the fault, of Americans. It's a fairly new country. What, like 260, 270 years old? And to be fair, you've crammed a lot of history in there. World War I, II, the space race, the civil rights movement and all that stuff. You've crammed a lot into your history so far.
And you're walking along a cobble street, that was an old Roman road, or you see this giant beautiful cathedral that kings and queens went to, or you walk by a castle on your way to work, and it's so ingrained in the everyday life in England that I absolutely love it. And for obvious reasons, the US doesn't have that kind of history. There is still history here, of course.
For sure.
And there's evidence of it, statues and monuments and plaques and that kind of stuff, but it's obviously it's not the same. It's not the same.
It'll get there though. It'll get there. Just give it another 500, 600 years.
And it's not to the same scale as it is in the UK. And now that I am not living in the UK, like I'm trying to apply back to the UK, but now that I'm out, I really miss that history. And just, you know, one of my favorite things, like I said, is going to the pub. So there's this one pub that I really like that I would just walk to, and it's like from the 1400s in this beautiful historic building, and you get, you know, a pint of cider, because I'm a cider girl, you know, maybe some Angry Orchard or whatever, and you just sit in this beautiful historical pub, and it's cozy and it's friendly, and that whole sort of thing I absolutely love. And you do not get that here in the US. You do not get those types of pubs, and you do not get that kind of history.
But there must be, maybe in places like Boston, where there's like a heavy Irish contingent, there must be like British style pubs in places like Boston, right? Like, let me know, guys, because I'd love to visit one when I do visit the States.
So, sorry guys. The fourth thing that the UK does better than the United States, healthcare.
Yeah.
Yep, we're going
I
there.
agree.
So buckle
I agree.
up. So as a foreigner in the UK, as part of my visa, I paid into the NHS, which is the National Health Service. Or is it healthcare?
It's health service.
I'm pretty sure it's
Or
the National
healthcare
Health
service.
Service.
Interchangeable.
But anywho, just pretend that I don't make any errors in any of my videos, because I am all-knowing. So as a foreigner, I paid a lump sum into the NHS in the UK, and then as an employee, I also paid, you know, my taxes were taken off of my pay and put towards the NHS. So you kind of pay twice, but I think it's fair that way. Anyway, we're not gonna dive into that because that's a whole nother story. But the great thing was that once I arrived in the UK, I had paid those fees. I could use the health system like a regular citizen. So I registered with a doctor, I got prescriptions, certain things like birth control pills are free, and I had a prescription that is £9.
Hold on, so how much is birth control in the US? Let me know.
I misquoted in an old video because I always misquote everything. And I had said there was different tiers for prescriptions, but there's actually only 2 tiers. It's either nothing, you get it for free, or it's £9,
yeah,
which is incredible. Of course, that's just for England. I think viewers were saying that Wales and Scotland get their prescriptions for free. Okay, can you imagine going to the doctor and getting your prescription for free? Whereas here in the United States, I mean, you have to be living under a rock to have not heard about some of the issues they have with their healthcare. And, you know, you hear stories of people that get cancer and they go bankrupt because they have to pay out of pocket for that type of service, for that type of treatment.
But people like that, they probably don't have healthcare, do they? Like, or do they have healthcare that doesn't cover things like cancer treatment, like oncology stuff? Like, how does that work? Because it's crazy to me that you can go bankrupt if you get sick, to be honest.
I know there's some people that they couldn't afford, you know, their insulin or penicillin or all this kind of stuff because it was completely, you know, you have to pay for it. And that is really scary, and I don't ever want to be in that situation. So as a Canadian, I mean, I have no dog in either of these fights, but there's something so special about the NHS, and I really, really hope the UK takes care of it.
Honestly, the government that we've got now, to me anyway, it looks like they're trying to destroy it, honestly. Like, it's just infuriating what's going on. I don't know if you guys know, but the nurses here are on strike. You know, they're asking for a pay rise, which they deserve, in my opinion, but the government is just not budging. Yeah, I just can't wait till this government is gone.
It's not a perfect system, and I have a whole video about the NHS that's separate you can go watch. It's not a perfect system, but it is absolutely vital, I think. And that's one of the really big things that the US just doesn't get right. And number 5, the 5th way that the UK is better than the US, vacation days. Vacation days are very important to me, and I will talk about this issue literally till the day I die. It's very important. Now, just to put it into perspective, I found an article on the CBS News website that says this. The United States is the only advanced economy that does not guarantee its workers any paid vacation time, and is one of only a few rich countries that does not require employers to offer at least some paid holidays. So the article goes on to say that a typical US worker at a private company gets 10 days of paid vacation and 6 paid holidays. So vacation would be like you're going away or you're having a staycation, whatever, and then these
10 days a year. That's just not enough, man. That's not enough. Like, you're going to be chronically fatigued.
Paid holidays would be things like Christmas, New Year's, Easter, that sort of thing. So they reported that the typical US worker that is hired at a private company full-time gets 10 days vacation and 6 paid holidays. That's disgusting. So the article says that France has the most generous vacation policy, mandating a minimum of 30 paid days off each year. The UK comes second at 28 vacation days, followed by Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden, all at 25 days.
Americans that are watching this, do you feel like, are you tired? Like, do you feel like you get enough time off work? Like, let me know in the comments, because 10 days is just not enough to me. My mum, she works for London Underground, and she gets 52 days. It's crazy. She gets almost 2 months off.
So, not to rub it in, Brits, but you guys do lose to the French, and I can only imagine how that feels.
C'est la vie.
But at the same time, can you imagine only having 10 days vacation, and it is not mandated by law that a company has to give you that? That is not okay. I think as much as I love the US, I mean, Florida here, well, I'll do another video specifically about Florida. Florida is almost like its own country. It's crazy down here. It's wild. It's weird. It's fabulous. It's just very strange. But the US as a whole is a wonderful country. And I have thought, you know, maybe one day I live in the UK. Not the UK. I'd like to go back to the UK, but maybe someday, you know, living in the US or whatever. But because of the healthcare and because of the vacation days, I have no interest in living in the US. It's just, it's not beneficial enough, if that makes sense. So those are 5 ways that I think the UK is better than the US.
Very interesting video. A lot of talking points. For me, like, I probably agree with the overall sentiment of her choices. I do think our healthcare, I prefer the system here. I'm not going to say it's better, because I feel like if you've got money, if you're wealthy, you can get probably better healthcare in America. You know, places like Johns Hopkins, you know, you've got leading doctors at the cutting edge of science. But for the average man, the average woman, I do think our system is superior. The vacation day thing, definitely think our system is superior. 10 days is just not enough. It's just not enough. So basically in the summer, you can take a week off, and then you've got 3 days left for the whole year. Nah, that's just not enough for me. I would hope that a lot of employers go above and beyond, and they give their employees additional days off. I feel like 3 weeks, 21 days is the minimum, because this is for a whole year you have to think about, you know. What else? One that she didn't mention was tipping. I feel like our tipping system is better. I know there's going to be a lot of people who work in the service industry that are watching this video that will say, oh, but I make this much money, I can make this much money. I just feel like the system here is where tipping is just not, it's not really mandated. Like, you can tip if you want to, but if you don't tip, it's not like you're going to get dirty looks or, you know, comments, questions from the server. It's entirely discretionary. Whereas I feel like in America, even though people will say, oh, it's not compulsory, it kind of is. You still, like, a lot of people have told me that, okay, if the service was good, you'll tip 25% or something like that. But if the service was average, you'll still tip like 10%. Here, If the service is average, you're not tipping at all. If the service is exceptional, you might tip. You might tip 10%, maybe, and that's only if you want to. You still don't have to. I prefer the system here. I know some of you are going to say, oh, Kabir, stop being such a tightwad. Stop being tight. I just think that it's like just paying the servers a good hourly wage, let's say 15 to 20 pounds an hour, you know, just so that they've got a decent livable wage, and then, you know, you can tip if you want to. I feel like that's better than paying servers like $3 an hour and then being kind of guilted into paying them a tip to ensure they don't starve. Like, it's just my opinion though. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.